Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you are having a great trading day. And you can see this is NASDAQ. You can see these charts are NASDAQ, six charts here. I'm getting a buy signal on NASDAQ futures. I got this buy signal around 1920, which is around 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Also here around 17:20 p.m. Eastern, buy signal here. I have short-term charts, some buy signals, but also 30 minutes chart. If I zoom out, I still don't have a buy signal yet on regression channel, but that's okay. We might get it very, very soon because you can see in this chart, as soon as a candle close above this white line, that's a buy signal. Okay, so algo might be late, but it's a buy signal right now. And today was a very volatile day. As FOMC was there around 2 o'clock. The Fed's American Fed Jerome Powell, he said they're not gonna do a rate cut in March. Initially, market was expecting a rate cut, and he just said we will not do it in March. He didn't say we will not do it at all in 2024. And market dumped almost 1.5% Nasdaq after 2:30, after when he started talking. I think this is a trap. This is most likely a trap. The reason I'm saying it's a trap because we are in a support. These green lines are support, red lines are resistance, and white line is neutral line, and we are in a buy zone. So what happens in buy zone? We bounce in the buy zone. Okay, so that's where we are. By the way, guys, if you like the content, please hit the like button on YouTube and please hit the subscribe button and share with this channel with your friends and family. It's free for you and everybody can get a end of day update. So why don't share and then grow this channel? Oh, also, if you like to know more about these zones and if you want to see every few hours I post these zones, a picture of these zones in our Discord group. There's a link you can join there. And two special members. There's also a members only group. If you join the YouTube member list, I provide zones for all these major indices: gold, silver, Bitcoin, crude oil, natural gas. I post it every few hours, so you know exactly which zones are happening at what point, and you can make a very knowledgeable decision. And in one trade, you can pay for subscription fees. That's very cheap. It's like $7 a month, so it's very, very cheap. Anyhow, so going back to these levels here, let's review how market did today. So you can see today we were day before yesterday, actually yesterday we were in the sell zone and we sell in the sell zone and we came to the buy zone. So nice trades. And today also from the buy zone we came to the neutral zone. So usually when it's near second standard deviation, these are three standard deviations: first, second, and third. When we are near neutral zone, usually when we are near second standard deviation, usually it goes as max as neutral zone. When we are on first standard deviation, where we are right now, it can go, it can go as high as first sell zone. So if market bounces from here, it can go easily 1.33%. You can see Nasdaq is already up pre-market, futures 0.43%. So I think most likely I suspect we're gonna be opening right here. We will be touching sell zone in the morning. Let's see how it goes. I think this was a trap and we should be moving higher very, very soon. Okay. And S&P 500, same thing here, same scenario, came to neutral zone and bounce. And now we are in a buy zone. We're touching buy zone and we buy in the buy zone. Okay. We don't short in the buy zone, we buy in the buy zone. And this indicator is telling me to buy, and it can potentially move higher from here to 49.41, and from here 1.19% potential profits. Dow Jones, it's also in the buy zone. You can see all these indices. Dow Jones actually came from sell zone to the buy zone, and very nice trade. You can see just using this 1.24% dump now in the buy zone. And Russell 2000 is also, you can see, very big dump after Jerome Powell started talking. We were just very close to the sell zone. Okay, so we don't really need to be exactly near sell zone. You can start shorting near sell zone, and you can see still in the buy zone. It's up 0.62%, but Russell, all these indices are in the buy zone. Bitcoin, let's quickly look at Bitcoin, see what happened on the Bitcoin. Dump, very, very nice dump from sell zone to the buy zone. 4.32% dump one day. You can see if I zoom out how great this indicator is. You can see from here, dump from sell zone to the buy zone, 3.37%. So you know as soon as you came to the buy zone, you have to buy. So you can buy from the buy zone and you can sell near sell zone. And then again, you know it's in sell zone. You can short near sell zone and you can go near buy zone. You can exit your short. So 3% here. Okay. So 3.5% here. This is 3.5%. So total add on 7%. And then this dump from here, another 3.5%. So 10.5% in one day, guys. You can make one day using this nice trade. And I was sharing this with all my subscribers. Very easy trades. Ethereum, same thing. Sell zone to the buy zone, then bounce to the sell zone, and again here. Same story everywhere. Okay, so this was very good trade which we did. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna now get away from this indicator, and this was my custom indicator, so I spent a lot of time in developing it. So let's do a market analysis. This is what I usually use, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna let's go to 1 hour chart. Let's go hide gaps. Let's do a gap analysis first. All right, and let's start with major indices, and we're gonna start with S&P 500 1 hour chart, and you can see what happened. We are very close to this gap. Those who watch my channel, they know I was telling there's a gap around 482. We are very close to this gap, so maybe tomorrow we'll fill this gap, but looks like we are bouncing right now. So we might, it's possible we could go fill this upper gap first and then come lower. Okay, so there's a gap. We gap down. Oh, let me hide this indicator because it's showing buy and sell signal. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so you can see we had a gap down, major gap left around 490, and that gap will be filled. All gaps do get filled 90% of the time. Now there's a gap down that will also fill, and there's a gap up as well. Okay, so I already marked this. Let's quickly go to triple Qs. You can see triple Q is also gap down. Now there's another gap, there are a couple of gaps here. So I think it can go higher first, fill this gap tomorrow, and then come down, fill these two gaps. So if you're buying tomorrow, or if you bought end of day, you will be in profit already. So you should be looking to sell near this gap fill, and then it's going to come back down. All right. So keep that in mind. Let's go to Dow Jones. Dow Jones had no gaps. IWM had, okay, this gap was filled. You can see it was a gap, and then FOMC time, we filled it. So I'm going to delete this gap so we don't need it anymore. Now there's another gap here, still did not fill it, so it will be filled at some point, but we'll see whenever that fills. Let's quickly look at any other major stocks. Newmont Mine had a gap up, filled a gap. Nothing interesting. Gold miners now coming to fill these couple of gaps on the downside. Let's do major stocks. Netflix has a gap down. So a couple of days ago, so still did not fill. Now there's another couple of gaps here. So Amazon, no gaps. Meta, gap down. Microsoft, it filled this gap. So you can see Microsoft sold off towards the end of the day. Good earnings report, but it sold off. That's how the nature is. Google, massive gap down. We'll do analysis very soon on a daily chart. Snowflake's gap down. NVDA gap down. AVGO gap down. And AMD also gap down. Oh, well, it did gap down, but they filled the gap towards the end. So I removed that. All right. So what we're gonna do now, also Tesla also had a gap down, they filled the gap. Now there's still this gap here on 183. There's also all these yellow gas to the top, so you can decide how you want to trade this. So let's quickly go to VIX first, 1 hour chart, and let's go to daily chart. Let's do daily analysis, and you can see, let me add also moving averages. So we can also look into the averages here. There you go. Okay, so you can see VIX is nicely on the uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. This high is still not high, so it is quite possible we can touch $17, 16.83. There's a gap here. Also, there's a gap around 21.25. I think in Feb we can still do that. So let's keep that in mind. So if you get a volatile move higher, then this gap will be coming mid of February, but most likely it's going to come down, tag this trend line, and then bounce. Okay, so if it comes down, this is inverse correlation to S&P 500. So if VIX goes down, S&P 500 goes higher, and VIX goes higher, S&P 500 goes lower, and that's what happened today. So let's review SPY. This is the ETF to trade S&P 500. You can see I was expecting a top here. Now there are two possibilities here. All right, so let me delete this for now. Now there's this support here which I marked with green line. There's another major support here around 460. This is the first support around 479. So it's quite possible. Let me hide this moving average for a bit so you can see it better, I think. So okay, so you can see here. Now there are two possibilities on S&P 500. What I can see, my highly possible scenario, which because we are in bull market, we gonna bottom here. We could go maybe a little lower if required, and then go higher, fill this gap. Or the second scenario is we already bottomed, and now we are going higher to fill this gap. All right. So no matter how we go, we are going higher. Now the third scenario, if you're gonna be a bear, so I think we're gonna still go higher, fill this gap, and then come down to fill these other gaps. Okay. So these are three scenarios. So you can see no matter how we go, if we come down first, fill this gap and then find support here, then go higher, or we go higher first and then come down. So this gap will definitely be filled. All right. So just keep that in mind. So don't be bearish near support. Okay, this is support. You have to be bull near support. Okay, you need to buy near support, and that's what I think people will buy. There's a little bit support here, but if you go to 1 hour chart, maybe you can see nicely. You can see a little bit support here, and that's where we are right now. So I think it's possible we can bounce right from here. All right, and if I go to the futures as well, I think there was a hint. MES gave us a hint on 30-minute chart. You can see it was not able to close above this high. So FOMC we had a spike, but this spike was lower than this spike. So it was a lower high before we went down. Okay, so big gap down, not gap down, it was a big sell-off. So usually whenever a sell-off happens, we get a bounce effect. So I think we're gonna bounce. At minimum, we will reach here. I think at minimum we're gonna be reaching here. If I show you, if I add a box here on S&P 500, I think we can go here. All right, and at minimum we are heading here. Okay, so maybe by tomorrow we'll be there. That's about from here, maybe another 0.31%, and then there will be decision time because this will be acting as a major resistance now. All right, so just wanted to mention that to you. So delete this for now, and let's go to Nasdaq, and you can see on Nasdaq we did have a higher high, but usually that was followed by lower high. So usually you should look into S&P 500, not Nasdaq, to make a decision, because if you look at other indices, none of them had a higher low. You can see this was an equal high on Russell, and then Dow Jones had a lower high as well. So you have to really look into S&P 500 MES chart to make a decision, because this was a fake out move. But the good news on triple Qs, we are going down. You can see this is MNQ, sorry, this is futures, Nasdaq futures. We are going lower and higher divergence. You can see RSI is going higher, PPO is going higher, so momentum is building higher. So all we need to do is wait for this trend line to break. Okay, so all we need to do is wait for this trend line to break, and we're right there right now. Okay, if this trend line breaks, then that's a buy signal. Okay, so we are right there around 0.44, and as soon as we have another 30-minute candle, that means we are good to go, and it's a buy signal. So just wanted to share that with you. And let's go to triple Q's, Nasdaq. This is the ETF we use to buy to trade Nasdaq. You can see we had a gap down. All right. So from here, again, there are two scenarios which I mentioned on S&P 500. First scenario is we can go high, fill this gap first, and then go lower. All right. Second scenario is we go down, fill this gap, and then go higher. All right. And third scenario is again we go from here and then go lower. So actually there are only two scenarios. So we go down, fill this gap, and then go higher, or we go higher, fill this gap, and then go lower. So anyhow, no matter how we go, we are filling this gap. And if you bought end of day, there's potential upside of 2% here, okay? And then that 2%, if you go by 3x ETF, T triple Q, you can make it 6%. Fungo is usually higher, you can go 8%, you can see 28% down. SOXL is a little bit lower, but that can also match a Fungo, so it can go, around 8% as well. So it's your decision what you want to do, but I think no matter how we do it, we're going ahead and filling this gap, okay? And let me add moving averages here just to see if there's any other clue. We're getting very close to this white line, which is 20 moving average, so we could go a little lower and then bounce as well. Okay, let's quickly scan S&P 500 and see how the averages are. And also you can see white line is below, so we could go still a little lower, find support, and then bounce. But I expect, because we are in a bull trend, it's not going to be easy to break. Okay, so you have to expect all pullbacks will be bought by traders, and mainly this sell-off was mainly due to Apple today, and earnings by Microsoft, Google, and AMD. All right, so this is, let's go to Dow Jones. This looks like an engulfing candle. You can see I was expecting a pullback. That's what we got. Let's see if we can get maybe a little bit more pullback, but if S&P 500 bounce, that will bounce Dow Jones as well along with it, okay? So keep that in mind. IWM Russell, this gap is still not filled. So looking for this gap to fill soon, and then we can bounce right from here. Okay, so we are in near major support. Also, these two moving averages are coming here, 50 EMA and 50 SMA, yellow and red line. So if it can find support, it can bounce very, very soon here. All right, let's go to Tesla. Tesla, you can see rejection here. Now again, there's a gap around 183.48, so they might want to fill this gap at some point. The two scenarios again on Tesla, we go from here, fill this gap, and then come down. all right, or we come down, fill this gap, and then go higher. So I don't know which way it will go. No matter how we go, we're gonna fill this earnings gap for sure. And also remember, if you can hold it for long, if you're a long-term investor, you can see all these gaps. Yellow lines are gaps to fill to the top side. And even from today's close, we have around 31% possibility, and even higher I can go. I'm not going to talk about 291 right now. Just made a big gap. Just hold it as a long-term investor, and you can see such a big upside potential. And Tesla is one of the biggest mega cap, which is in a bear market actually since here. Actually, you can see if I zoom out, started this bear market started 2021. So almost 2 to 3 years now in a bear market, and whenever this breaks, it's going to be an explosive break. So you want to be buying, you want to be holding this whenever this breaks out. You don't buy when it's breakout. That's going to be too late. All right. Gold, again, making higher highs, higher lows, and it's above all moving averages, so everything is looking good. Silver also holding nicely on this trend line. There are two trend lines, but focus on this first trend line, so it's holding nicely, so everything is good. And Apple, breaking down Apple below all moving averages, but it's coming very close to this. Focus on this, follow my cursor, focus on this dark blue line, which is 200 SMA. Light blue line is 200 EMA. So every time price comes there, it bounces. Every time it touches, it bounces. So you can see it's coming very close right now. And there's also a gap here on 182.96. So let's see. I think most likely we're going to fill this gap first around 187.80 and then come down. And on Thursday, which is tomorrow, we have earnings. If we are sitting right on 200 SMA, that means earnings could be bullish. If we are above, then could be bearish. So let's see. Let's analyze tomorrow. Okay, how things are shaping up. Crude oil also very nicely got rejected actually on this 200 EMA, and it was basically going making higher lows. But that's okay. Still nothing broke, so it's still finding support here around this uh, yellow line, which is 200 SMA right now. So it can still bounce from here. Natural gas looks like it wants to fill this gap around 2.1898. So I think tomorrow we're going to fill this gap. I already have projection here, and then we're going to go down in February, and that will be the bottom. That's what I'm expecting. Dollar making a flag, so everything is looking good. Maybe it will break out. If it does not break out, then it's going to go down to find support here around 1 or 2. So I'm going to extend this for now. And let's see how dollar behaves. Finding resistance on this light blue line, which is 200 SMA EMA, sorry, right now. So let's see if it can break out. If not, then it's going to fall back. Bitcoin. So let's go to Bitcoin BTC here. Let's go to 1 hour chart, and let me hide this moving averages so that it's a bit clean. And let's see. Okay, so why did I put a line here? Okay, so there was a gap here. Let me delete this box for now. It's clear. You can see I was telling everybody yesterday there's a gap here, and you can see what happened. They filled this gap. So you can see how nicely all gaps do get filled. And now we are, looks like we want to go lower on Bitcoin. If I go to daily chart, you can see if I zoom in this PPO, you can see PPO green line still below red line. So as long as it's below red line, I don't know if you can see it clearly. It's not very clean, maybe in the background. This white thing is blocking it, but I want to see green line above red line. Okay, I want to see green line above red line before I get bullish. Oops, what did I do? Here you go. I have to zoom this back in. And you can see this could be a higher low. Okay, this could be a higher low what I was expecting before we go down and fill this gap. So you can see all these green lines are the gaps to fill to the downside. So be very careful here. Um, and if I bring in moving averages just to see, still holding above this red line, which is 200 SMA. There's a little bit more support around 200 EMA, this yellow line, but there are multiple gaps telling me we could go lower. All right. Ethereum. If I go to 1 hour chart on Ethereum, and if I hide this moving average, you can see this gap is still not filled. So it will fill at some point. This is the only thing which is contradicting with Bitcoin, because I think Ethereum can go higher. Ethereum can go higher and fill this gap, but for Ethereum to go higher, Bitcoin has to go higher. So it's possible Bitcoin can find support and then bounce. If not, then again, I don't know the prediction. I'm not a market maker, so it can quite well as well go from here to a new high, and that will help Ethereum to fill a couple of these gaps. Okay, so both scenarios are possible. I don't know which one will play out. You have to make best decision for yourself. Right now, Ethereum, Bitcoin is in a buy zone. So that could tell me that we're expecting a bounce before we go lower. All right. Ethereum, same thing, looking for these gaps to fill before we go down and fill these lower gaps, in my opinion. And let's quickly look at any other commodities. Copper is by the dip. Soya beans is also make the new low with divergence on RSI and PPO. So wait for it to close above this white line, which is 200 moving average, sorry, 20 moving average on daily chart. Sugar also by the dip found support on this red line, which is 50 SMA. Wheat just holding near support. Okay, so it's looking like it's a bit weak, but it can bounce right here as well. Corn also just trying its best, making new lows. Like this is in a bear market for so long, guys, and now we are getting some momentum on. You can see PPO and RSI both showing some momentum, so we could be heading for a massive bounce. And let's see what else is here. What can we check? Gold miners, biggest gold miner, Newmont miner, 52 weeks low. No divergence on RSI, but PPO is about to cross over. Actually, there is divergence on. You can see this is higher high on PPO and RSI is no divergence. So one of the indicators showing some divergence. But for long-term hold, this is near 52 weeks low on Newmont mine, so you could buy it. Gold miner GDX, couple of gaps, so it looks like it wants to go down, fill this gap at 27.8, 27.65, and 27.14. Netflix gap down, multiple gaps. It's a lot of divergence. You can see this RSI is lower high, PPO is lower high, and the momentum is losing, so maybe it wants to cool down a bit. Amazon, you can see RSI lower high, PPO lower high, earnings tomorrow, so it's a coin flip, but chart is telling me we're going to dump, and if we do dump, there's a gap around 145. If we do go lower, let's see, first gap is here around 5.82. Yeah, we could find support here actually. I think it looks more like we're going to go down to 145 tomorrow. That's what it sounds like. Meta keep going higher on big divergence. You can see RSI has divergence. PP also has divergence. Again, I think Meta, if it goes down, it should find support on one of these gap fills. Microsoft was down. Again, you can see PPO has a big divergence, lower high. So I think it's possible it can go a little bit lower from here. Google massive gap down, right on support actually. You can see this white line came right on support. So I can draw this a little bit differently if you guys want something like this. So you can see it's sitting right on support. I do expect a bounce. I don't think it's going to go straight down. So I expect a bounce. I don't think it's going to fill all the gap, but a bounce is possible, and then it can go down and fill these other gaps. Snowflakes just in the middle, massive divergence on RSI and PPO. I think earnings are going to sell off really hard. NVDA also, you can see had a red sell a couple of times, red sell signal. So looks like we might want to cool down a bit, which is going to be healthy. Still in a massive bull trend, nothing to be worried about. But you can see big PPOs, big divergence here. RSI also, RSI does not have any divergence, but PPO has a big divergence. AVGO, same thing here, divergence on RSI and PPO. So be careful. AMD, fill the gap. Looks like a very volatile move, like a rocket. A very quick move, but RSI is showing some divergence. So next gap is around here, 146.72. All right, guys. Hopefully this today's update was helpful. And if you're still here, please hit the like button on your way out. I will really appreciate. And again, share this channel with your friends and family. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.